Let's break this down a bit because the Greens in the Queensland election didn't do very well at all. Voters, from what you're telling us, like the Greens' policies because they are disruptive. Let's take, rent control, for example. It's easy to understand. Is there something in that? The other thing about people crying out for leadership is, they didn't want Scott Morrison. He was seen as too aggressive. They wanted to change from him. He was, in people's lives too much. They got Anthony Albanese described as a bit more of a cuddly teddy bear. Now they seem to be thinking, oh, well, no, he's too soft. We want something a bit stronger than that. What do they want? Or don't they know?
Yeah, as I say, what the policy solutions to this is, people are waiting for our leaderships to fill in the blank. But certainly what they wanted from this government, the Albanese government, was change. That's what they were voting for. They were voting for change on, these deeper economic and political sort of status quo, as it were. So I think, what we're seeing at the moment a lot is incumbent governments that are just sort of running on a, we'll keep things turning over business as usual kind of manner, are getting pounded in the polls. Sorry, not just in the polls, but in the vote at the booths. So what they're looking for, get the policy space. They need that space filled for them, but there is certainly this sense of we want people that are going to come in with pragmatic solutions for how do we change the status quo. And on the Albanese government, clearly there's a sense that they're not getting that at the moment.
Yeah, you said that almost a year ago that they need to start getting it, and they haven't. Election around the corner. Do they still have time, Simon?
Yeah, look, I think that's a really interesting question. My gut feel is probably not. I think things are probably baked in now because you reach this point in the electoral cycle where you start to do disruptive, stuff, really good stuff now. People will say, well, why didn't you do that a year ago? Mm-hmm. The cynicism starts to become baked in, and that becomes really hard to punch through. No amount of campaign or communications or marketing will sort of punch through that cynicism. So I think probably the runway has run out. I think what we've seen now, the trends that we're seeing in the polls are probably baked in heading in towards the next election, which ultimately leads to the conclusion that the next election is going to be a mess. It is going to be all over the shop.
Great. Looking forward to it. Simon, thanks so much. We'll see you next week.